Hi, welcome back to another edition of Tech in the City. My name is Yvonne Pilon, your host. For those of you just tuning in, Tech in the City is a regular series where we talk tech, we talk gadgets, we talk trends, and we really talk about what has our local community buzzing and the world when it comes to tech. So before I begin, you're going to notice I'm holding something a little bit different this time. Someone left a comment stating that I had a clipboard, and again, we're in the tech world, so I decided to upgrade my notes and bring out my fancy iPad. But today we're going to talk libraries, and I'm here with Sue Perry, who is with the Windsor Public Library. So you didn't have much of a walk today to join us.
It is quick.
Great. So I had the chance of running into Sue at a recent event, the Mini Makers Fair. It was phenomenal.
It was great.
And, you're there, and I'm seeing this awesome booth from Windsor Public Library, and there's all these robots on it, and it got me thinking, a lot of people don't realize how libraries are transitioning into these innovation tech hubs. So I thought we'd start off by just talking a little bit about yourself, maybe just kind of give us a rundown of who you are and how you got into the library space.
Oh dear. I've been at Windsor Public Library for 33 years.
Wow.
So I really have seen the evolution of what the library was. When I started at the library, we didn't have computers, period. Not internet access, not computers for the public. We did not have computers in the buildings. We had card catalogs, and we manually checked books out to people. So the changes that we have come from where we were to where we are today is amazing. I can remember when we got VHS tapes in the collection. People lost their minds. They thought this was the end of the world. This is not what libraries are about. And if you walk into a library today, it's hard to even imagine what it was like back then compared to how it is now. We're not about being a warehouse of books and facts and print materials. We still have those things, but it's more about the space and the community in that space and the sharing of knowledge instead of just individual reading books.
It's interesting you say, you've been there for 30 years, and the evolution, I'm sure, was substantial, but a little slower. And now it's just, technology is changing.
Boom.
Just when I learn something new or I buy a new gadget, there's an upgrade literally days later. So, but before we get into kind of what, some programming and some of the tech stuff you have going on, maybe you can just give a brief overview of the landscape of libraries, kind of how many do we have here locally, because I don't think people realize, again, how many libraries still exist within Windsor and Essex County.
It surprises me how surprised people are by what we have, because we have 9 branches in the city of Windsor, the Windsor Public Library system, and there's another 14 branches in the Essex County system, which is a totally different system from us. I don't know a lot about them, but they've got a great website if you want to check them out. We also have a cool new bookmobile that goes all over the city, so you'll see Fred driving all over the streets. It's hard to miss because there's giant books all over the side of it. And we are open. It's hard to find a time when the library isn't open. So check us out. And virtually, we're open 24/7.
So I want to get into that. So I actually was going to bring my library card with me because I have a really, really old one. But how does someone even get involved with the library? Because I imagine there is still a kind of a membership model, having to be either a Windsor citizen or county citizen. So how does that work? How does someone, we're going to talk about all the great programs you have and offerings, but how does someone even get access to those offerings first?
First of all, the access is there. Anybody who can walk off the street is welcome to use our space, use our resources in the library. It's free to everybody. Anybody in the world can get a library card, but it's free to anybody who lives in Windsor, Essex County. You just come in, show us something with your name and current address, and you've got a card, and you can check out literally as many books as you can carry out of the building, because we no longer have a limit on how many books you can check out. But the e-resources that you have available to you at 3 o'clock in the morning, you can't sleep, you want a book, you check yourself out a book from the library with your library card. It's amazing.
So let me talk about, again, why we're here talking about tech. So these e-resources, if you're a card holding person, or you're up late at night at 3 a.m. and you want to read, what's available for people online to access?
We have e-books, e-audiobooks, so you would listen to it instead of reading the print version. We have databases, we have movies, TV shows, music that you can stream or download. We've got a really cool platform called Freegal, where not only can you stream and download the music, after your loan period, it's yours to keep. We have taken care of the digital rights management, so it actually becomes your music legally free on your device. Never any overdue fees because it's hard to return a pixel late.
Finally.
Yes.
I remember having a few library
Yes.
fees. Oops.
Everybody has library fees, but that's okay because we'll work with you because we want you to come back into the library and use it.
Now, a lot of people have a misconception that it tends to be kind of older movies, older books. And when I was using the library years ago, like I was, going in and taking out books that were just getting introduced at some of the biggest bookstores. So is that true? Like, are there new releases? Like, maybe you're like, do you have any idea of some top books that are being rented right now? Or
ebooks, as soon as a book is published, we purchase the book in ebook format as well as print format. So if you're looking for an e-version, we have the newest stuff. A lot of times we will actually have the e-stuff before the print version. There's less of a waiting list because usually people read it faster and return it faster because it's easier to just click a button than to get down to the library. It really is incredible how fast the stuff gets onto the digital platform. I was doing a talk at Assumption Library and just having them shout out some of their most current groups that they're listening to see if we had it on Freegal. And 9 out of 10 times we had it. Yeah.
Wow. So in order to access this stuff online, can you sign up to be a member virtually, or you have to come in person to get that first access?
First access, you have to come in and show us your identification. We are really working toward online registration. It's something we've been wanting for a long time, and we are really pushing toward it, but we're not there yet. We want you to come in and see first what else is in there.
And I can't stress this enough again, it's nothing bad about owning your own books, but there's so much offering and free offering as part of your residency in the county in Windsor that you have access to. So I hope that we can help shed light on kind of what Windsor Public Library and the surrounding libraries have to offer.
Especially for people who are into gaming. Yeah. You don't want to go to EB Games and drop $60 on a game if you don't know it's good. Come to the library, check it out, play it once or twice, and then decide whether or not you want to buy it.
So gaming, is it specific platforms you have?
All the platforms.
Do you have any virtual reality games as well?
Forest Glade Library does have a virtual reality gaming system. So go out there, check them out, give them a call, make sure that
I know what I'm doing this weekend now. Seriously.
Yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff out at Forest Glade.
Yeah, awesome. So I know one more thing, another thing I want to talk about briefly is, a lot of people are self-publishing books. And I know you're really involved with this, I think. According to Google, there is a self-publishing facility in the library here. And I think it's the first in Ontario, if I'm not correct.
It's the first in Canada. We were the first public
in
library
Canada, even more,
Canada.
Which is amazing. So what does this mean? Like, explain what self-publishing means to someone listening.
It means that 70% of books today in the market are self-published.
Wow.
So it's not the stigma that it used to be about vanity press and that kind of stuff. It's people who want their word out there. Whether it's you want to spread it with the world or if you want to just save it for your own family. You have now a means to walk into the library with your flash drive, plug it into the machine. 4 to 7 minutes later, you have an actual real paperback book. And they're on the shelves at Chapters. It's not like they're something that you've run off in your back room.
Like they're beautifully bound and they look good. Now, what is that?
What
is the fee for that? What's the costing for something like that? I'm sure it depends on the level of books or the number of pages.
It's a per page charge. So basic idea, a 100-page black and white book is $8.50. Wow. Yes.
This is eager. I've always wanted to publish a book. Okay, so there is a tech hub growing.
Yes.
I want to hear about that. And somebody by the name of Fred. I was told to ask about Fred. I don't know who Fred is, but maybe you can talk about the tech hub and who is Fred?
Fred is the bookmobile.
Fred is the bookmobile. All right.
Fred is
freedom. I thought that you said that earlier, but I wasn't sure. So
freedom to read, enjoy, and discover.
Acronym,
so Fred drives all over the place. I was out on Fred this morning at an early years center, and it's just amazing to see the little ones like stumble up onto Fred, and then they sit down on the floor with the picture books, and they don't want to leave. They're like
it's a mobile basically a car full of books or a van full of books that travels and it goes to library to library?
30-foot truck, yep. No, it goes to where we don't have libraries.
Oh, wow.
So it's a way of finding out where in the city is being underserved and who actually wants to go to a library. So we set up there. We go to senior centers because they can't get out. We go to daycare centers because it's hard for the moms to bundle up the kids. Everything that's in a little branch that you would walk into is on Fred and more. Like we've got internet access, printer.
access this? If someone was part of a community group that, really could utilize this, did they reach out to you? Is there a tweet at Fred or?
WindsorPublicLibrary.com, under our services bookmobile, there's a link to get in touch with us to request our services. We go to Open Street Windsor, which was fantastic.
Oh, amazing. I hope we continue with that, because that was an amazing event for Windsor. So Tech Hub. Tell me more.
Hub, we were really lucky to get a bequeathment a couple of years ago, and we took the money, and it's a growing trend. We need to have access to these kinds of digital things where people can actually learn what they are and how they work. Kids can pick up an iPad and do a million things with it, but they don't actually understand what it is they're doing or how they're making it work. The Tech Hub is a place for experiential learning where they can get their hands on these things in a safe, controlled way. Mostly safe, mostly controlled way. I was thinking of our program last night. I did a teardown day where the kids got to take apart old laptops and keyboards and stuff like that. And it was just amazing to see their faces, and they could figure it out. One little guy insisted on putting his keyboard back together and seeing if it would work again.
Amazing.
And it did. This 12-year-old kid disassembled a keyboard right down to every last screw.
They say that's really what learning needs to be. Is we've taught kids that, like, here's a keyboard, but like, what if you took off some pieces? Could they fix it? Right? That linear thinking that we're teaching people is going backwards.
Exactly.
And teaching. So I think that's awesome.
I'm old enough to have to have used keyboards from when keyboards were first invented, and I had no idea what was inside them or how they worked. And it was just really amazing to see these kids hands-on. We've got green screen, we've got an electronic cutter, we've got audio and visual recording material and ways for them to edit it so they can make their own movies, they can do their own rap music, which a lot of them do.
Wow.
And we've got low-tech stuff too, like a sewing machine. So kids who don't know how to sew, or they want to do their Halloween costume and people don't own sewing machines anymore, they can come in and do that at the Tech Hub.
And is this Tech Hub open like hours of the library? Is it specific programming certain days? How does that work?
It's specific hours. Again, our biggest problem, as everybody's, is staffing. So we've got this great space. We just have to be able to have the staff in there to make sure everything's done safely. So our biggest nights are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday afternoons. Every Saturday afternoon we're open, and it's just free exploration mostly. They come in, and if they're really into engineering, we've got a lot of engineering tools for them. Or if they want to do their music recording, they can do that too. If you wanted to do something where you didn't want a lot of people around, like if you're making a movie, you can book an appointment, and we will try to work with you to see what kind of private time you can have in there.
The thing we see in our role at WEtech is a lot of the times, teachers don't have access to a lot of this technology. There's budget cuts, and it's unfortunate because we're trying to push our kids into the future and let them experience, virtual reality coding, but we don't have the resource internally. So can teachers leverage the library, and not even teachers, parents, right? Can they leverage the library to take stuff out, or is it like come to programming? How does that work? Is there?
It's come to programming. So right now, Forest Glade, like I said, has a lot of cool stuff to use. The Downtown Tech Hub has a lot of cool stuff to use. We have 3D printers in 5 of the branches. So if you wanted to go and learn about 3D printing, there's a lot of branches you could go to. We love class visits at the Tech Hub. We really love for teachers to bring the classes in, and classes love it. We've had a lot of kids come back after with their parents and say, I was here with Mrs. So-and-so.
Oh, no, that's great.
But the teachers then, if we have enough notice, we can actually work in the tech stuff in line with their curriculum.
That's great.
So and we do have a homeschooling group who comes in and uses the space as well. So they're
amazing.
getting access that they may not have.
So when we speak about, tech, and I know also you have computers, you have Wi-Fi. So, and even the space of libraries are changing. Even the last time I went into the library, it doesn't look like what I remember the library looking to. So, people can come in and access computers, access internet, Wi-Fi, right? That's
Absolutely.
all available. Yep. And there's some cool working space. Again, people always, today we were talking about, co-working spaces at work, and the library really is a co-working space. It's a community space where you can go and, connect to Wi-Fi. And
yeah, it's not the place to be shushed so much anymore. Yeah. We do have some areas of the library where for quieter, independent study. But if you go to the first floor of the central library, it can seem
it should be a little bit
very
noisy.
Lively.
That's good. Yes. That's creative.
We have a living room dedicated for people to sit and watch news shows together and discuss them. We have board game nights where people just come from all over the community and play board games together. It's not a place where people are sitting and reading.
Yeah.
solely.
Yeah.
That goes on too, but we encourage...
Get the rowdy tech group in. I like it.
Exactly.
Now, I was asked, I know something's coming in May, and I'm not sure how aware you are, but I know one of our staff is very excited about the Glowforge. I've heard about the Glowforge for years, it seems like. It's probably not been that long. Exactly. So it's coming.
It's coming.
What is the Glowforge, and what does this mean to this community? Because I know WEtech will be there when that comes in.
Glowforge it uses a laser beam of light about the breadth of a human hair, and it can cut, engrave, carve, all kinds of stuff. So you can take a leather mouse pad and carve your face on it, or the map of the city. You can, if you're building doll houses and you want to actually cut out the wood, it will cut out the wood according to your patterns, and you'll just be able to build so much stuff. You can use it as a business. You can use it just to learn how to do the designs. It's going to be so amazing. The things that people can make is unbelievable. We're really excited to be getting it.
Yeah, no, I remember watching, I think it was on Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken, one of those Indiegogo sites, and one of our staff, who I think was helpful in purchasing it, Eric Kuzmarchuk, who's a city councillor, and I think he partnered with another councillor, if I'm not mistaken.
We've actually got 3 councillors who contributed to it.
Yeah. Which I, again, obviously biased because of technology, but I see such a need for these kids to experience this, and that makers community that all communities are building. Things like the Hackforge are allowing kids to now create things. And again, if you're listening, I really encourage you to Google Glowforge, because it's this powerful machine that can literally, again, cut leathers and wood and make these cardboard. Amazing pieces. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what was created, but I was like, whoa, like this is amazing.
Yeah, if you go to the website, it really is incredible. It's stuff that, and we'll still keep discovering. We'll have somebody walking off the street and say, hey, can it do this? And we will contact Glowforge and say, can we do this? And they'll say yes or no, and then the people are off and running.
That's amazing. A couple last questions just as we kind of wrap things up. You've been in this space now for 33 years. Where do you see, what are libraries going to play when it comes to the future? Like, what role will they play? And what do you think libraries of the future will look like?
Well, people are always saying, oh, you're not relevant anymore. Oh, you can get everything off the internet. Yeah, you can get everything off the internet. Yeah. Good stuff and bad stuff. Libraries will always be around to direct you to the good stuff, the worthy stuff. And it's one thing to read on the internet what the inside of a keyboard looks like. It's another thing to come to a library and get to touch it and figure it out.
Experiential learning
own.
Is so important.
And community. The technology in a way is kind of isolating us more and more into our own little teeny tiny spaces. The library is a place to come and reconnect with that society, that community of the people beside you. Even if you're sitting beside them doing something, you're still sitting beside them and commenting on it instead of just being isolated.
That's amazing. I'm amazed. I learned so much today, which I'm excited about, because I love, obviously, I try to read, but I always fall asleep when I read. So I got Alexa finally. It's fully operating, and I know she has audiobooks, and hopefully I can link her up to read me a bedtime story, which would be great. So my last question, and it's a question that I heard at a panel, and I thought it was a really great question, and it's, they use the example of a billboard, but my question is, in your role in industry, imagine the front page of a media in 5 to 10 years. What would your dream headline be? What would that headline be that you'd just be like, yes?
Windsor crime rate drops to 0. Everybody too busy at the library for shenanigans.
I like it. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Sue, thank you so much for coming. I think it was fate that we saw each other, and they've got these cute little robots. What were they called?
Ozobots.
Ozobots. Yeah. They're probably quite affordable to purchase as.
Not for everybody.
Not for everybody. Yeah. Okay, well, regardless, they have them at the library. There's amazing robots that teach kids to code, which, again, is so, so important as we look at the jobs of the future and the skills needed for the future workplace. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you in the next edition of Tech in the City.